So hello guys, welcome back to Geeks for Geeks Practice, and today we'll be beginning the remaining session of the mathematics and competitive programming. So moving before moving ahead further, we'll be discussing about the previous approaches or the previous what we studied in the previous lecture, right? So we were studying about the prime numbers, how to calculate the prime numbers and all. So we watched various methods of calculating prime numbers. So the first method was just basically iterating till all the n. Iterating, suppose if the first method was that if I was given a number n and I have to check whether it is prime or not. So what I did, I just iterated from I equal to 2 till n and check whether if this number n is divisible by if this number n is divisible by any of the any one of the number between 2 to n minus 1. If yes, then it will not be a prime number, otherwise it will be a prime number. We modified it further by just iterating in the range from I equal to 2 till I equal less than equal n by 2. This is because let us take example just for revising. Suppose if I have to check whether n equal to 100 is a prime number or not. So what we'll be doing in this case, we'll be iterating in this first case. I will be iterating from I equal to 2 till I less than less than 100, right, till 99, and check whether it is divisible by any of this number or not. But what if I say that if I divide by n by 2 till n by 2, that means I equal to 2, I less than 100 or less than equal 50 or 100 by 2, right? So it will come out to be 50. So what this means? This means that if I check out that any number which is half of the n, so if I take its multiple of 2, then it will be basically greater than 100, right? Because if I this is our last one, right? Last number which will be iterated. But if I increase one more, that is 51 into 2, it will be surely greater than 101, right? So there is no point of checking for the remaining half, because the second multiple of 51 is greater. That means that moving ahead further into 3 into 4 will obviously be greater than 100, right? So there is no point of checking. So there is no point of checking other numbers greater than 50. So this is the another. This was the another efficient approach. But if we talk about time complexities, the asymptotic time complexities, both of the time complexity of both of these approaches were big O of n, because big O of n by 2 is almost apparently equal to big O of n, right? So this won't affect much. And now therefore we moved on to the next approach, that is we just moved on to the square root of n approach, in which we just iterated from I equal to 2 till I less than equal to square root of n. This is because we know that the factors of a number always occur in pair, or the divisors always occur in pair. For example, if I take n equal to 30, right? So let us add on all the factors or divisors of 30. So 2, 15, right? And after that 3, 10, 5, 6. These all will be the factors, right? Now we see that if I move ahead further, other factors will be 6, 5. But you see, these are repetitions. The positions are only the positions are swapped, but the remaining numbers are same, right? So it won't it doesn't matter, right? So we don't have to take these factors which are nothing else but repetition only, right? So we can ignore them. So one thing we can see here is that the largest factor or the largest divisor will be always less than equal to square root of n, right? Here we can see for 30, the square root of 30 will come out to be 5, right? If I take the seal of it, so it will come out to be 6. So now if I check, right? So now if I check so I can reduce my range of iterations for checking the divisor. Any single divisor will be reduced to square root of n till square root of n from 2 to, that is from 2 to square root of n. So these were all the approaches, but the problem with this efficient approach, most of the people only know about this square root of n approach, but the problem with this approach is that suppose if I pass on you lot number of queries, right? Suppose the number of queries are 10 raised to the power 6, and in each query I just give you a number n which is equal to 10 raised to the power let us say what 10 raised to the power maybe 18, right? And I ask you to check whether this number is the prime or not, right? So the time complexity will come out to be 10 raised to the power 6 to 10 raised to the power 9. This is because for each query I am iterating till 10 raised to the power 9, right? So this will not work. This will give us a TLE. So how to do it? We can do it if we do some pre-computations, right? So the pre-computation I'm talking about is come under the topic of sieve of rest sieve, right? So so what is so we'll normally call it sieve, right? So the full name is sieve of Eratosthenes, right? So we'll just normally call it sieve, right? So what is the main idea behind sieve? what does basically sieve mean? Sieve means to separate out something, right? To separate out something and to get a final answer, right? Final reduced answer. So how we do it? So basically the idea is that suppose if I have to calculate, basically sieve is used for finding all the prime numbers in the range 1 to n, right? But we can check whether a number n is prime or not if a large number of queries are passed to us in O of 1 also, right? Because we compute all the prime numbers and then we can normally check in O of 1 whether it is prime or not. So let us now look at both of these topics one by one, right? So the first, so mainly sieve is used for checking all the prime numbers or counting all the prime numbers in the given range, right? So what is the basic idea? The basic idea is that we basically know that what are prime numbers? Prime numbers are those numbers which are divisible by only one n itself, right? So if a number n is divided by any of the number which is less than n, that means it will not be a candidate for the prime number, right? It can never be a prime number because it is divisible by another number which is not n and 1, right? So the main idea is that we eliminate all those numbers which are having their divisors, right, less than themselves, not prime numbers. So this is the main idea only. So I'll depict you. So if I have to check right, if I have to check for all the numbers less than n which are prime, right, I have to count all those. So what I'll do, I'll just create an array. What we basically do is that we just write down all these numbers, right, till n, right? Then what we do, we just start from this because one is not a prime, neither it is a co-prime number, right? So we start from 2, right? First of all, initially we mark all the numbers as 1, denoting that they can be the prime number, right? So one denote that they can be the prime number, but we are not sure about it, right? So we mark all these numbers as 1. So now we eliminate one by one all those numbers which are not prime, right? How do we do that? We know that if what we told about prime numbers, that we know pre-requisitely that if there is a divisor or a factor of any number, right, so it will not be a prime number. So for instance 4 will not be a prime number. How do we know that? Because it is a factor of 2, right? Similarly for 6 it is a factor of 2 and 3. So what we do, we start from each number, right, and make jumps to the multiples, right, till we reach the end. And in this manner, suppose if I reach there, I mark it 0 because this cannot be a prime number because its factor is 2. Why we knew that its factor is 2? Because we are coming from 2 only, right, by making jumps. Then we go here, so it will again not be a prime, and so on, right? So this is how we can say that we will eliminate. And now then the turn of 3 comes. After all the multiples or all the jumps of 2, we'll move on to the jumps of 3, right? So from 3 we'll be moving to 6, but we see 6 is already not prime, so we'll not do anything, not update anything about it. Now we will move to 9, right? Then we see here, 9 will also not be a candidate for prime number. So we assumed it wrongly initially because 9 can be reached by 3, so it will mark as false, right? So this is how so after all the iterations is done, right? So you can see here that the numbers which will be left as 1 in this range only, right? Let us take learn from a small example. In this range will be 2, 3, 5, 7 and 9, right? So these are all the prime numbers in the range 1 to 10. These are all the prime numbers, right? So this is how we calculate it, right? So I hope the idea is clear to you that what we are trying to do. We are trying to basically eliminate all the multiples of number one by one. Multiples because the multiples will be factor of their of some number smaller than them, and hence they cannot be prime numbers, right? So this is the basic idea. But you can see that here the sorry, you can see here that we have to still traverse till all the n, right? So what is the basic? So what is the use of this C, right? So if the constraints are small, we can do this, and still suppose if the constraints are say less than n less than equal 1 to 10 to the power 5, we can use this above method, right? We can use this above method, and once the sieve is created, then if I pass a query, right, let us suppose to check whether 5 is a prime or not. So you will go to this array of 5, that is array of 5, and you will check whether it is prime or not. Yeah, if it is 1, then yeah, it will be a prime number, so you can return normally big O of 1. So this is how you can check in O of 1 whether a number is prime or not, right? But if you want to calculate all the prime numbers in a given range, then you have to iterate to all the n in this method. But we have something better for it now. So we will just go back in the time and remind ourselves that we did something similar to reduce the iterations from n to root of n, right? So can we use it here also? Yeah, we can use it here also. How? What we'll basically do, we know that so why we know that all the divisors occur in pairs, right? We know from our previous lectures and the live session that we learned that all the divisors occur in pairs. So there is no need of checking till all the n. Instead, we can check. In fact, we can check till root of n, right? So we'll be using this logic here also. What is our main idea? Basic idea is that what is the basic idea of using root n here is that we are clear about the idea that why we check till root of n, right? All the iterations till root of n instead of big O of n, instead of all the n iterations, right? So we'll be carrying forward this idea only. What we do, we know that if we are given a number n, right, and we have to check whether it is a prime or not, we only check till root of n because all of its factor, right, which will divide this n, will automatically come in this range 1 to root of n, right? So now what if I say that all the so what we can devise from here is that all the numbers that can divide n will lie in this range root of n, right? So instead of checking for the multiples till n, what if I check the multiples of all these numbers in the root of n range only, not checking the other numbers? This is because I just said that all the numbers of the divisors of n, right, will lie automatically in the range root of n. So to eliminate all the other numbers which will not be a prime, right, we will check the multiples of the numbers in this range only. I hope the idea is clear to you, right? So what I'm basically saying that if I remove the multiples of all the numbers in the range 1 to root of n, so that will mean that the remaining numbers will be prime, right? Because as the factors that were stopping all those numbers from being prime are now eliminated, right? The factors, that means the numbers in the range 1 to root of n, right? And the numbers in this and their multiples, right? So if I eliminate all those numbers and their multiples, so they will be the remaining numbers will be prime. I hope you are getting the logic. So if I want to say it in another terms, I can say that if the numbers in the range 2 to root n are the only factor that will divide n, right? So that means their multiples will never be prime, right? As a multiples will also be divisible by in the range 2 to root of n, right? Hence we eliminate them, and the remaining numbers left with us will be the prime numbers, right? So this is the basic idea, right? And one more thing I can say that suppose why I'm checking till the root of n, right? Because all these numbers, all the numbers less than n will also have their factors or the possible divisors in the range 1 to root n. So root n, right? So this will basically be kind of the larger range, because this range will cover all the factors for number less than n also, right? For example, let us suppose I'm checking for n equal to 30, right? So for 20, so what will be my range? My range will be from 2 to 5, right? So for 20, for the range, so for 20, what would have been the range? 2 to 4 or 2 to 4, right? Or maybe 5, I can say 2 to 5, right? For 15, the range will be 2 to 4, right? So this is covered in this bigger range, right? So we can say that this is the parent range of all the range less than of all the ranges of the number less than n, right? So that's why we're checking this, right? So this is the basic idea, right? We will be eliminating all the multiples of the numbers that can be the possible divisor of n, and what are all those numbers that is in the range 2 to root of n, right? So this is the basic idea. So what we do here, instead of just going from I equal to 2 till I less than equal n, right? We just normally, instead of doing this, what we did, we traverse till root of n, right? And this is how we reduce the time complexity, right? For better understanding, the time complexity of this is pretty much complex to make you understand. So for better understanding, you can so it will be a larger topic. The time complexity of the C of rest, the C topic is itself a topic, right? So to learn the time complexity and how do we divide the time complexity, there is some higher mathematics, right? So for that you can join our to learn the time complexity, or you can join our the essential maths for competitive programming course, right? So yeah, so this was all about the C. Let us now see the implementation of C, right? How we will implement this. I hope the idea is clear to you. Now let us see what is the implementation. How do we implement it? So as we said that first of all we create a C array, right, of let us say n. Right. One thing to note here is that we are using an auxiliary space, right? So the size of this auxiliary spaces will be the total number of n, right? Because we have to check all the numbers in that range from 1 to n, right? That will be prime. So that's why we have to create an array. So we will create the array, and after that we will mark all the numbers or initialize all the numbers as 1, right? So what we are basically doing here, we are using indexes as the number and the value. Okay, let me add on for you. So on. So these are all the indexes and these are the values in them, right? So these will be values. So we will initialize all these. So these are my numbers, right? Numbers, right? And these are my values. These values depict whether it is prime or not, right? Prime if it is 1, no, it is not a prime if it is 0, right? So initially we mark it all 1 because we don't know which number will be prime or not. So for that we initialize all the numbers with 1, just for the assumption that all these numbers may be prime, right, in this range. So after that, as we discussed now, we will traverse from I equal to 2, I less than equal root of n and I plus plus, right? And after that, this is the main part, right? One thing to note here is that we will check whether if the current number I am pointing to is a prime or not, right? If it is 1 or not, because for example, we drew here, right? Okay, let us draw again. Right. We draw this one. Once we are done with 2 and 3, so the array will be looking like 1 1 0 1 0 1 0 and 0, because 4 6 8 and 9 have factors 2 and 3, right? So they will not can be a prime. So once I am done with 3, so the next term comes out to be a 4, right? But do you think that we need to check for 4? Because 4 is itself not is a multiple of 2, right? So the multiples of 4 itself will be not the candidate for prime. So therefore there is no need checking all those numbers or the multiples of all those numbers which are not prime, right? So that's why we are not checking this number, right? All those multiples, that is, we will not before checking for the remaining multiples of that number currently we are pointing at, we will check first whether at first it is a prime or not. That means or we can say that whether it is prime till the current point or not, right? So for that we will check if my sieve of I is equal 1, then only I will check its remaining multiple, that is I will start iterating from equal to 2 and j into I, right, less than n and j plus plus. So what does that mean? By writing this statement in the loop, we are checking all the possible multiples, right? How? We pick, for instance, we are at, suppose we are at 3, right? So if my I is equal to 3 at a current position at some time, right, then in the first iteration of this inner loop nested loop, j is equal to 2, right? So we will check for in sieve of 3 into 2, right, and then 3 into 3 into 4, 3 into 5 and so on, right? So this is how it will go on. First of all 3 into 2, then j will increment, it is 3 into 3, 3 into 4 and so on. So this is how we are checking the multiples, each and every multiple of the current I and till how we are going till all the numbers n, right? Because we are checking for all the numbers till the number n, whether, and we are checking all the prime numbers, we are checking for all the prime numbers, right? So that's why we will check till less than equal n, right? Because the number n itself can be a prime number, right? So yeah, so after this we will check if I will update my sieve of j into I as 0, right? Because if we are reaching that multiple, that means it is a multiple of the number I, and hence it can multiple, and this number is a multiple j into I, the number denoted by j into I is a multiple of the number I, that means it will be divisible by that number I, right? So hence we cannot say it is a prime number, so we will neglect it, right? So this is all about the code. Right? So this is how the code of sieve looks like, right? So this is all about today's lecture, guys. And one more thing, here you can see there is a demerit, right? That is you can see that we are using the space till n, right? So at max we can calculate prime number till 10 of 8, 10 raised to the power 8, right? Because if we declare our array globally also, then the space allowed to us is 10 raised to the power 8 maximum space, right? Near about 10 raised to the power 8. But what if I tell you count all the prime numbers in the range 10 raised to the power 18, right? So for that topic, for this thing, we have a thing called segmented sieve, which is the advanced version of this sieve, right? So to learn this, you can join our Essential Mathematics for Competitive Programming course, where you will be taught by Sandeep Jain sir, and you will be learning these advanced topics, right? So guys, yeah, that's all for today's lecture. If you have any doubts, you can write down in the comment. I will surely reach out to you and answer each one of your queries. So yeah guys, that's all about today's topic of sieve. I hope you enjoyed this topic. Stay tuned. Happy coding. Bye bye.